think who I voted for would be the best to take care of Trump. Because Trump is, I'm sorry to say, an ass.
People always talk about Donald Trump having great political instincts, but Donald Trump is a doofus. Donald Trump is the greatest dingus of our modern political past. And I say that not because he won an election and then lost and then won. I say it because he had a golden opportunity to fundamentally and structurally change the political order on a global stage, and he fumbled it. Canada was on the precipice of electing a conservative government with Pierre Poilievre, who is just a MAGA light kind of a character, a guy who has said that he's here to battle wokeism as he takes a page out of Donald Trump and Republicans' playbook. They've courted fascists and white supremacists like Tucker Carlson to speak at their events. The Conservative Party in Canada isn't what they would have you think they are. We're just a different way to run the government. They absolutely, in their DNA, have the same kind of makeup as the Republican Party in the United States. But Donald Trump, instead of embracing the Conservative Party in Canada and getting his tentacles spread across the Canadian political landscape, what he did is he attacked the country en masse, generally, and galvanized support for the Liberal Party in Canada, which is what we saw yesterday in the election. Here's just a brief mashup that CNN put together of Donald Trump doing just that, taunting Canadians as a whole, which led to the election results last night.
And we can't let them take advantage of the U.S. What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. If we make it in the United States, we don't need it to be made in Canada. We'll have the jobs. That's why Canada should be our 51st state. So when I say they should be a state, I mean that. I really mean that. Because we can't be expected to carry a country. I do like the "O Canada," right? It's a beautiful thing. I think we're going to have to keep it for the 51st state. I call him Governor Trudeau.
Okay, now, what I want to do, you saw that. I wanted to give you a reminder of that. Here is a couple of moments from Mark Carney's speech, the new Prime Minister of Canada for the Liberal Party, the same party as Justin Trudeau. And I really want you to pay attention to the defiant language here, the nationalistic, and I don't use that term negatively here, the national, like just rallying support for the nation, for his people. And then we'll get to the clip, the coming up clip that you saw at the beginning of the sweet little old lady from Canada calling Donald Trump, while apologizing for it, an asshole. But here is the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. We are once again at one of those hinge moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade, anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. These are tragedies, but it's also our new reality. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons.
But you're going to take us forward.
We have to look out for ourselves. And above all, we have to take care of each other. And my message to every Canadian is this: no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home.
Mark Carney, is he watching the show? Does he watch the show to the very end when I say to be genuine and take care of one another? Because that's a message he's putting forward here in his victory speech. Obviously, I'm making a joke. This is the result of Donald Trump. If you look at political maps and what they projected relative to polling and where the support was falling, it was absolutely falling for conservatives. And not just in Alberta, not just in your western provinces. We're talking about all across the country. Conservatives were either leading or in a neck and neck race. And now the map looks completely different. Now, because of Donald Trump and his ineptitude relative to galvanizing support of similar political movements across the country, he f***ed himself. And the Republican Party and messaging. Look, it might not seem like it matters if our neighbors to the north are of similar political ideology, but for a movement like Donald Trump, where the messaging is what matters, it does matter. And they fumbled this. They bumbled this. All so they could fuel the bigotry of the United States and the MAGA movement against our allies. It could have been a stronger relationship for Donald Trump than he could have ever dreamed. And instead, he attacked them. He attacked an ally. And this is what you get. This is what you get. You get an elderly lady talking about her vote and calling Donald Trump. Look, Canadians are stereotypically, I think it's a correct stereotype, generally very polite, very decent, very loving, very accepting. They're good people. And when you have a lady going on the news to talk about who she voted for because Donald Trump is, I'm sorry to say it, an asshole, something has gone very wrong. Anyway, watch this lady.
I think who I voted for would be the best to take care of Trump. Because Trump is, I'm sorry to say, an ass. And he shouldn't even be president of the United States. But because he is, we need a strong person so that we could stand strong.
It could have been Pierre Poilievre's moment. Could have been. Now, he lost his seat. He's not even in Parliament. The Donald Trump of Canada defeated. The guy who did cozy up. This party cozied up to Tucker Carlson, who hosted for years a nightly white supremacist fireside chat on Fox News. They invited him, come and speak to our conference, to our movement. Botched. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it below in the comments. You could also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I would love to hear from you. Please consider supporting this work if you're in a financial position to do so. Not if it's a stretch, not if you have to budget it in, but if you got an extra $1.99 a month just laying around that you wouldn't mind throwing my way, you can help me produce these videos. Click the join button below, become a channel member, or go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I'm all across the social media. If you're there being miserable, you can be miserable with me. I'm at Dollemore. I'd love to see you there. And I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Take care of one another.